I know.
All right.
Yeah.
We're at another Birds Breakdown here at the Chelsea Tavern. Today is definitely a tough day. You know, the Eagles did everything they could yesterday. Unfortunately, it did end up in a loss, and the season is now over. I really wasn't ready for football to be over yet, but you know, these things happen sometimes, and now we get to start to talk about what happened yesterday and everything else that's going on. I tell you, I'm just going to lead off. Let me start off specifically like I normally do. We're here at the beautiful Chelsea Tavern, here 821 North Market Street in Wilmington, Delaware. It's a great spot. We've been here all season long, and it really has been a fantastic place, and I really do appreciate everything they've done for me here. Our sponsors today, Adam Mechanical. Again, they're the best in the business. If you have any problems with your heating, air conditioning, or your plumbing, Zach, Seth, and all of the people over at Adam Mechanical really know how to take care of you. They do a number of different projects. They take care of everybody in the Delaware Valley. You'll see their trucks around all over the place. Adam Mechanical, like I said, for any of your heating, air conditioning, or plumbing needs, they really are the best. Now, let's go right to it. I want to talk a little bit about the game here. We might as well start off with what everybody's talking about, everything that's going on. My personal opinion, yes, it was a dirty hit. Yes, I think that had the referees been a little bit better, because they called a dirty hit that really didn't seem like a dirty hit on Russell Wilson, and then they didn't call the first dirty hit, and then they didn't call the second dirty hit where he did a horse collar and grabbed him by the helmet to tackle him. Didn't call that either, and then the whole pushing out of bounds after the guy's already out of bounds. So 3 bad calls, no calls by the ref specifically, that would have all resulted in 15-yard penalties. Nothing at all. So it was a little. I ain't gonna blame the refs. I'm definitely not going to blame the Seahawks for playing the way that they did. It is a playoff game, and it's a violent sport. So, was it a dirty hit? Yes, I think it was a dirty hit. Do I think he meant to do it? That's where it becomes a little questionable. I don't know if he maliciously tried to hurt Carson Wentz. But when you look at it, you look at the way that whole play transpired, Wentz got tripped up. The knee was down, and here it is. He's piling on. I tell you, if it was Brady, they may have had the other team have to forfeit for something like that happening. So I don't want to hear that. Oh, whatever. Those refs need to be held accountable for those types of things. We cannot go all season long. Hey, we're trying to protect the quarterback. No, helmet to helmet. None of this, none of that. And then all of a sudden, you get one of those plays. It's like, well, it was like a bang play. So it looked like it was fine to me. They've been throwing flags for less than that. So I don't want to hear that. All of a sudden now we're going to put the flags in our pocket. That's bullshit. So anyways, and I'm going to start off like that. I feel like the game would have been tremendously different. I'm not going to say that we would have won the game, but I would say that the game may have taken a whole different turn had, one, he didn't throw that hit. Two, he did throw that hit. They threw the flag and they ejected him from the game. So a lot of different things could have possibly happened with all that, because likely, like I said, he played a questionably dirty game the entire day. So he had a couple of really questionable late dirty hits all day long. But that's the way he plays. So same thing with Dominic Sue when he was doing it. There's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do. When you're getting away with it, you can do everything. And that's what they were doing. And that's what kind of made me a little upset yesterday. That day could have been a lot different had Carson Wentz been able to play. And all those people that are saying, oh, well, now he's injury prone, he can't make it through the season. I tell you what, all those people that are saying that, it's easy to say that from the couch. Let me hit you in the back of the head, and then let me find out how you can go on and say all those different things, because I don't want to hear it. All right, you guys, bap in your mouth. This guy is a football player, and he got a hit in the back of the head oh, he's glass, oh, he's this. Let me hit you in the back of the head, and let me see how you feel afterwards. And I bet you ain't going to do so hot either. So I don't want to hear all you bappers out there, all these quarterbacks that had 5 minutes in the NFL. Oh, they think they can do this. Canal, whatever his name is, he's a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. Go figure out why you didn't make it in the NFL before you start talking about quarterbacks that are actually making money, asshole. Anyways,
All right.
so now that I told you actually how I feel, let's actually talk about the game. So, rushing yards, 120, 64. Hey, Skittles, 7 yards you got. 6 carries, 7 yards, 1 touchdown. So I got to give you the touchdown. You did the whole pirouette move and bulled your way in. It was the one play that you had, because every other time they gave you the ball, you got nothing. Nothing at all. 7 carries, 6 yards. PU. All them Skittles, right to your belly. That's why they couldn't give you the ball. The guy, most of these yards came from Russell Wilson. Running. I think he had 45 rushing yards. In fact, he did have 45 rushing yards. So you take away that 45, and it's 23 yards, 19 yards rushing. That's nothing. That's nothing. However, they did have a lot of yards passing. 160 yards by DJ Metcalf. They were picking on LeBlanc all day long, and they didn't really have an answer. He did not have an answer for him. And it didn't matter who he was lined up on. That's who they went after, and they went after him all day. And it's, I was reading some of the tweets from him. The fans really got on him today, so much so that he's like, I'm not even going to be on social media for a couple of weeks. Because the way that people are talking to him. This guy's a football player. So he was getting beat. He didn't have his best day. That doesn't mean that you need to be making fun of him and his family and all this other stuff. I mean, let's grow up a little bit, shall we? It's a football game. We weren't playing in it. These guys make a lot of money. You think he wanted to get beat? You think he wanted to not do weight? Leave the guy alone. He's going to be fine. You know what I mean? Anyways, we didn't have a lot of receiving yards either. Most of them came from McCown because we only had 3 yards passing before Wentz got illegally hit, as far as I'm concerned. But anyways, like I said, none of these are going to be excuses. I don't make excuses for my team. You know what I mean? We lost because we didn't play well enough. There were plenty of other things that we could have done that we didn't do. There was a couple, like even with our rushing yards, Sanders taking those couple extra stutter steps. There was a couple times I saw him where he could have gone through the hole, and then he did another slide step. And I'm like, why? Why take that slide step? The hole is there. Obviously, he could see things a lot differently than I can. I was only on the 40-yard line, being able to kind of see what's happening there. But I'm only looking vertically. He's looking horizontally. You know what I mean? So it's going to be he's going to be able to tell. So maybe there was something more going on. But it looked like to me like he missed a couple of the holes that he could have gone in. And just the offensive line didn't have their best day across the board. A couple times with Peters going off sides. Just a couple of phantom holding calls. It just seemed like any time that we were making any movement. And the one thing I do have to say that I'm really unhappy about with the NFL, we finally start moving the ball, and then they take this TV timeout. It was like 6 minutes long. Like, I didn't put a stopwatch to it, but all of a sudden we're moving the ball. Nobody called the timeout. Nobody did nothing. In fact, it was after McCown ran for 18 yards. He goes running. He's all excited. He energizes the crowd and the team, and then we're on a TV timeout for 6 minutes. Like, it was ridiculous. I want to know why the hell that they chose that moment in time. There's 4 minutes left in the first half, and we chose that moment in time. If you didn't call your TV timeout when you're supposed to, you figure out where the revenue dollars go. Give it back the money. Something like that is a little ridiculous. That all for 6 minutes. We're moving down the field, but now for 6 minutes we're going to stop because we forgot to take a TV timeout when we were supposed to. That, again, crap. All crap. That's by the NFL. Anyways, time of possession. We actually had the ball most of the time in the second half. We were moving the ball. I said, at one ball by Sanders that was a little bit, he had to go back for it. He got his hands on it, but didn't put it in for that 4th down call. That was a touchdown. That would have been a touchdown. That could have changed it. I don't know. Who knows if we would have made the 2-point conversion. But that could have made it a lot closer, and there was still plenty of time left on the clock. No turnovers by either team. which was a little frustrating. We needed to get a defensive turnover. There was a couple of fumbles that happened that we didn't get our hands on. I think we did 3 forced fumbles throughout the game against Seattle, and we just could not get them. They were getting them all back. So those types of things in a playoff game, that's what's going to be most important. That's what needs to happen. You need to win those turnover battles. Anyways, Russell Wilson was 18 for 30 for 325 yards and a touchdown. Half of that went to DJ Metcalf. 160 yards is just crazy. And of course that last play was the killer. Everybody's up on the line, and you knew that they were going to go over the top with that. It was the one play that they were able to do kind of all day long and was open all day long. And they had 2 guys. He beat both of them. And now he's there, and he gets to wave goodbye to everybody from the 40-yard line. I tell you, the Seahawks as a team were just, I know they won, and they're in Philly, and they're doing whatever to try to get under the skin of the crowd and stuff like that. The truth of the matter is that I felt like that they didn't need to do half the things they did. Russell Wilson is a man. You know what I mean? He asked about Carson Wentz, stuff like that, as he goes and talks to the coach and such. But the rest of the team, they were like assholes, straight assholes. But you know what? They're NFL players. They get paid a lot of money. What do I know? You know what I mean? But they were riling up the crowd, and the crowd was, to talk about the crowd a little bit. It's a playoff game, and I tell you, I feel like that the energy wasn't as excited as we could have been. I felt a lot more energy for the Dallas game than I did for this. It was just not the same type of feel. I feel like everybody was a little bit nervous, and that kind of showed through a little bit. We weren't as rowdy and as crazy as we normally can be in Philadelphia, and I think that had a lot to do. And then there was a big, huge out of the balloon once Wentz got hurt. That was like a big deal. Obviously, so we still felt it. I kept doing my thing. I didn't hear no bell. At the end, I heard the bell. So unfortunately, we just couldn't pull it out. I know McCown was like ridiculously upset about it. He finally gets to play in a playoff game, and he wasn't able to pull it out. He did everything that he could to try to do it and to try to make it happen. It wasn't meant to be. It's hard when you're playing with everybody when you're playing with like half a college team. Everybody was on the practice squad that kind of showed up, and that's really a testament to some of the staff, the scouting staff, and who's going to be able to go and jump in and the next man up and things like that. There's a lot of credit to go around. There also is a lot of blame. It was a team loss all the way around. I feel like the offensive line didn't have their best game. I feel like the defensive line kind of came, but then they started to get nicked up with injuries. Brandon Graham got a little hurt. It's just, you could tell, and he was back in there again, because really a 70% Brandon Graham is better than anybody else, really. And so they were getting in and getting some pressure. They were hitting Russell Wilson, and they got a lot of quarterback hits on him. Unfortunately, it was just 1 sack. He was quick enough to get the ball away most of the time, so it was always just a half a second too late. But like I said, we did have the ball most of the second half. We were trying to do everything we could to try to get into the end zone. Just wasn't meant to be. 17-9 again. 17-9. They have a very prolific offense. So the defense was there. We held them in 2 games to 34 points. Unfortunately, they were able to hold us to 18 points. So had it been a much different game if Carson stayed healthy, if you remember a couple of weeks back, I said, out of all the people, when I said, who can we not afford to lose? We could not afford to lose Carson Wentz, and that's the truth. That was what the situation was. And once he was out, it was almost the writing on the wall. We tried to do everything we can, and we tried to keep him up, try to make sure that everybody's doing their job and being able next man up type of situation. But realistically, eventually your luck is going to run out, and that's kind of what happened here. So, what's going on? The first question that came to my mind, that half of even my section behind me was asking, is how come no Jordan Howard? How come His guy's got his helmet on. He's itching to play. You could tell he wanted to get out there, but they just would not put him out there. Did not get one snap on offense. And I don't care, whatever. Like whatever is going on. You got Ertz, who's got a half a lacerated kidney, 2 broken ribs, and just and getting beat up, and he's out there. But yet Jordan Howard can't get a snap. Something was a little funny there. I don't understand why. Because that's, like I said, when you needed to get 3 yards, and instead of going up the center of the line, you're doing dinks where we get knocked back 4 yards. That's not good play calling. I feel like that there was a couple of situations with personnel and with play calling that was very questionable in this game. So like I said, this was a total team loss, starting from the coaches and going down to the players. And the fact that Jordan Howard didn't play is one of those situations that I feel like could have been different. So, secondly, why go for it early in the fourth? I didn't understand that. Like, we had 8 minutes left. I understand that had he caught that ball, it may have been a touchdown. So forget the play. The fact that he didn't catch it was a turnover on downs. Why not go for the field goal there? We're trying to win a game. It's 12. It would be 17-12. So we ain't got to go for a 2-point conversion. But I understand. Hey, we're getting close. We're on the 40-ish yard line. We should definitely try to go for it near. It's 4th and 7 or 4th and 4, whatever it was. I think it was 4th and 7 at that time. I would have kicked the field goal. Now the play call was the right play call. Might have been a little bit. The pass might have been a little bit behind him. He didn't catch it, and that's obviously. That was that. And then they get the ball back. And then we got them 3 and out. They only wasted like 3 minutes. We got the ball back with 4.5 minutes left and took it down and went all the way down up to the 2-minute warning. That was when we had that next 4th and 3 call. When we still could have got a first down. And they went, I could read it. It was a 0 blitz coming. And he couldn't even get the ball away to anybody. And that was the 7th sack of the game. Unfortunately, again, I don't blame McCown. He came in and did everything that he could. Tried everything that he could. And anytime he got any bit of momentum, like I said, the one time he's all excited, he's pumping up the crowd, and then we're sitting there waiting for the ball. For the guy with the orange gloves to come in and say, yeah, roll it and start the clock. Woohoo, we can play again. Because they had to get their commercials in. Again, crap. So, now after seeing all that, did Wentz make the practice squad better, or was the practice squad really, as good as they were? Honestly, I believe that it's a little bit of both, but I think it had more to do with Carson Wentz than it had to do with the practice squad. I believe that once the practice squad came, Carson Wentz upped his game, and that's what was the big difference. Now, of course, these guys got to make the catches, and they were doing so, unlike Aguilar, but that's not, obviously when it came down to it, they couldn't do it with everybody. Because McCown, if he was able to do it with McCown, then we know that the practice squad was the answer. Unfortunately, I think we found out yesterday that the quarterback was the answer. And the quarterback was the reason why the practice squad was so good. And that's not something that you hear very often. That people are talking about the practice squad, that we have half a college team playing in the pros, such like that. We weren't even supposed to be here. But this practice squad beat Dallas, so we're still the NFC East champs. We still had a winning record going in. This is what happens. We are the champs. We get to wear the crown until next year and get to say, we are still those guys. You still got to go through us to win. Every other coach now in the NFC East has changed. Every one of them. Doug got every one of them fired. They're all fresh. Doug is the senior coach in the NFC East. And to be honest, all those hires, McCarthy, I'm so happy we get to play against McCarthy. I think Doug will chew him up and spit him out. Pooh! I think he's terrible as a coach. So I'm happy Dallas hired him. Ron Rivera, I think that you're getting somebody who's going to really, really try hard to do something, but they got just wackadoo ownership over there. So I don't think they're not going to do anything at all. You know what I mean? The Giants are the Giants. I ain't worried about them. So, yeah, exactly. They stink just all the way around. They got more problems than they got to worry about. Coaching is not one of their concerns. But thinking about concerns, what's the biggest area of concern for us? I think that this game, this playoff game on defense was a microcosm of our season. That we were getting beat big, we were getting beat on trick plays, and that although that the scheme was able to work it out, when we were able to beat the NFC East. We beat them all to get into the playoffs, and that's what won us. But every other game, starting from Atlanta, Detroit, even Seattle in the first game with the trick play, we were getting beat. The Patriots with the trick play. All those things add up, and ultimately it came down to not necessarily trick play, the long ball, the big play is what we got beat against a lot this year. And that's what I feel like our biggest concern is. I feel like that in the draft, I am typically an offense and defensive line guy. The other spots are cornerbacks. Cornerbacks, we need somebody who can start this year. So figure it out. This is going to be a big thing for the staff that does all of the scouting and all that to find out who's going to be the guy. I don't want a combine cowboy. I do not want somebody who all of a sudden stock shoots up. I want somebody who's been doing this for years. He's got years of tape and shows exactly what it is, and then he's got some speed. That's what I need. I need speed, and I need somebody who's been doing it for years. I do not want to see that, this guy really skyrocketed at the combine. No. That's not what I want. I want somebody who's fast, can go, and the one problem that we had, and it was the big problem in this game, it's been the big problem all season long, is closing speed. When they're looking back for the ball, it's just natural that you got to slow down a hair. You have to. You just got to. And that's when the D-backs are supposed to speed up and catch up. Now, obviously, if the ball's being long thrown, you got to run through it and stuff like that. That's a whole different scenario. But most of the time, when you go to look back for the ball, you got to slow up a hair. And the cornerbacks need those closing speeds. And we ain't had it this year. This year, it has been apparent that we have not had that type of speed. And getting beat long by the strong safety and free safeties all the time is just, there's got to be a little bit of a change in Schwartz's thinking when it comes to that type of stuff, or we got to have the right people that are on there doing their thing. You know what I mean? We need to have the right people in the staff, like out there on the field, getting speed, because we didn't have it this year. Not at all. Who should stay and who should go? I got 12 names here, and it's going to be my opinion here. But I think, I know that there's going to be a lot of people who've got a lot to say about all of these. Alshon Jeffries. I think he's got to go. It's a $16 million cap hit for him to go. The cap is going up this year. Wouldn't be the biggest deal in the world to drop it. I think that cancer's got to get ripped out. I worked for a guy who taught me one thing a few years ago. It was there's two things you do when you own a business, and it kind of works the same way with a football team. You have to hire slow and fire fast. And when you've got something festering, you got to cut it out quick. And when they cut out Aguilar and Jeffries out, all of a sudden things got better. So whether it was the practice squad, maybe it was less chirping in the locker room, all that type of stuff all went away once they were out. So maybe it's best that you cut ties. Jenkins. Now, Jenkins is a funny one. So he didn't have the best season this year. However, he came on strong in the end. I tell you, he was able to turn the switch on. He's looking for a different contract. And ultimately, the Eagles at one point had a theory about not signing guys over 30 years old. And that changed a little bit over these last couple of years, especially when we won the Super Bowl. We've kept some people in place and such like that. However, it becomes a business decision. And the way that he played in the playoffs makes me think that he may actually have some value, that there is somebody out there who may want him. And I think that he might be worth trade bait. So he doesn't want to come back under this contract. He will not come back under this contract. I'm thinking that maybe we should consider trading him and having him move on. I understand he's the captain of our defense. I understand what he means to a lot of the people in Philadelphia. And I'm not saying that I don't want him here. What I'm saying is that you have to strike sometimes when the iron is hot. He has had a very good last half of the season. He's shown his worth. He wants to come back. He wants to make more money. I would say let him. Let's just not let him do it with another team. We can definitely, if we're going to be drafting a lot of cornerbacks and safeties, which is what I think that what most of our draft is going to really consist of this year, that's where I think that we have to regroup there. And we have to pick somebody fresh, somebody who's not afraid to hit somebody else, and somebody who can kind of move into that position and kind of take over for what Dawkins and Jenkins has done to this. My thought is that it should be a Kins, because obviously Dawkins, Jenkins, they've been the best safeties that we've dealt with. So if somebody with the last name Kins, maybe would probably work out. So I would think about that. Nigel Bradham. Now we have the option on whether we want to keep him or let him go. He would not cost us the $8 million. He would be making $8 million this year. Nigel Bradham actually, I thought, had a pretty good game yesterday. However, he's also been a little bit injury prone. He's always in and out, in and out. I guess that's the thing with linebackers. That linebackers disregard their body when they go after these plays, and that's why these guys get hurt a lot. I know that the Eagles have never really wanted to spend a lot of money on linebackers, that the 3 and the 4-3 defense doesn't really matter much to them, that they would rather use nickel guys and things of that nature. My thought is on Nigel Bradham is that I would keep him. He's going to only cost $8 million. He's actually been pretty good. Like I said, the problem I have is a little bit of the injury prone, but ultimately I would say keep him. I think that he should stay. Vinny Curry's an unrestricted free agent. I think that we should re-sign him. I think that he's played okay. I think that this system is not necessarily conducive. And I remember that we still have a guy who got hurt in the very beginning of the season and wasn't able to come back this year. You know what I mean? So I think that made Malik Jackson, I think he's going to play a big part on this line again next season. It's going to be a full year. He's going to be back in there again. I think I liked Curry. When I was up close and personal yesterday, I don't know if I made it onto TV yesterday. I know maybe that was the bad luck charm that I didn't make it on. I know because every time they show me, we win those games, except Miami, which we should have won, but that was a different story. Anyways, I saw him, and I tell you, when you put Vinny Curry next to Fletcher Cox, he looks small. You know what I mean? He didn't look as big as as I thought he should be. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything because he gets in there and he's able to move off of those blocks. So, I would be good either way. You got to replace him. If you don't have him, my thought is you pay the man and have him come back. Same thing with Jernigan. I think Jernigan did his thing. I think that he's worth it. If you have to choose between one or the other, I would take Jernigan over Curry. However, I think that you should probably bring them both back. I think the D-line amongst anything else, I mean, they were 4th in the league in holding rushing. You know what I mean? And that in a playoff game to only give up realistically 19 yards rushing, that's incredible. So, and they were like that all season long. Nobody ran on us except maybe like 1 or 2 games. I guess Seattle the first game with Rashad Penny, because we didn't really game plan for him. We did more for Carson, and that's why that Penny was able to go run free most of the time. Anyways, Jordan Howard. Why Jordan Howard. Now, why did he not play in the second half? Why in the second half of the season? Why was that stinger take so long to get fixed? What was going on? Is there something more behind the scenes here? I tell you, as of right now, I loved him. I loved him when he was in there. Now, the one thing that he was able to do was move people. You give him the ball, he's carrying people 4 and 5 yards. Now, and you got to have that. We got 2 backs that between them make about 8 foot tall. So it's like I feel like you need somebody who's got that oomph and has got that power to be able to move people. And the guy's only 25 years old. So me personally, I say bring him back. And if it's something that we find out that he's got some other type of injury that's going to be a lot longer term, then obviously my position would change there. But without him, you got to get somebody else to do that. And I don't want Skittles coming here. You know what I mean? I don't need that crap. You know what I mean? You can tell how good he was. He was out of football shape. He's been eating too many Skittles himself. You know what I mean? He looked fat yesterday.
Giant Skittle.
Hallelujah Vitae. I tell you, I thought about this and I thought about this and I thought about this, and I'd say I would sign him. I would sign him. Unfortunately, I think he's going to go, and I think he's going to get a big contract. And I think that we're going to look back later and say that we should have kept him. It's one of those things where we had a guy on our practice squad. He just got out of the Army, and before he even got a chance to even sit on the practice squad for a week, the Steelers took him. And you know what? He's been the starting tackle for the Steelers since that moment in time. So obviously, I do not. Offensive and defensive lines is how you win championships. That's when you got. And I tell you, when you see this guy, like I said, I was in row 1, and when you see this guy, he's a monster. That guy is like ridiculously huge, and he's only getting better. He's only getting better. I don't think we're going to bring Peters back. You know what I mean? I don't think so. That's my list. Vitae, I'd let Peters go. I thank you very much, Peters. You are a Hall of Famer. I've loved you all the time here. I hope that they make you the offensive line coach, but I think that you want to still play. You're not ready to give up yet, and I can understand that. But it may be time for you to go, Peters, unfortunately. My man Mills is an unrestricted free agent. I'd say I love Jalen Mills. I feel like he brings some fire and some intensity. He gets beat sometimes. He's not the end-all, be-all answer for cornerbacks. But I love him. You know what I mean? We got the same color hair. So, I mean, that helps. But what I'm saying is that he's like the energy on those cornerbacks. When he came back from being hurt, all of a sudden, we went from 32nd in the league up to 16th. And that like over a couple of weeks' time. And that had a lot to do with him. So I feel that we should bring him back. Now, of course, there's going to be a lot of other people that say, Mills, Darby, both of them should go. You can feel that way. I'm not saying that I have the same opinion as everybody else. Mills, I would keep him. Darby should go. Definitely Darby's got to hit the road. Crayvon LeBlanc, he's still under contract here. I wouldn't cut him. You know what I mean? We're going to need cornerbacks, and we're going to need veteran leadership to bring in to teach these new guys, because I feel like that we're going to see a whole bunch of them in the draft this year. That it's rich in this draft. There's a lot of cornerbacks that got to come out. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a big deal. I think that we need to keep some veteran leadership. I think Mills is that. Jason Peters. Like I said, you're a Hall of Famer. When my brother, who was an offensive lineman up at the college, would always say, especially about Peters, you have the best, and then there's everybody else. And that was like 4 years ago with Peters, and when he got hurt, and even in 2017 when he got hurt. And 2018 he came back, and I tell you, he got strong again at the end of the season. This year, he looked tired at the end of the day, and he looked frustrated. He could tell that his body wasn't doing the things that he was used to it doing. And he was getting beat. He was getting a little jumpy. Those things that he used to never get called for, he gets called for now. Like, He used to be the best at going half a second before the snap and never getting it called on him. And now he gets called on it all the time. And he used to be the best at the guy flinching on the other side of the line and him going up and pointing and getting the call on the guy on defense. He doesn't get those calls anymore. And I think that had a lot to do with his game. He's just, it happens. You're 38 years old. I mean, trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about. As you get older, your body just doesn't keep up with you. And you've been playing a position that requires a lot of strength and stamina. And you've been fantastic. You've been the best at your position all this time. I think it's definitely time that you would retire. I understand how you don't want to leave the game. I get it. You know what I mean? I can appreciate that. And who am I to tell you that it's time? You're probably still better than half or three-quarters of the offensive linemen out there. So it might be right for you to go. Unfortunately, I don't think your position here is on this team. I would love to see you as the offensive line coach. I would love to see you as the guy who brings up Mailata, and gets him ready. I feel like that he's going to play a big part in our offensive line this year because that guy's a beast too. So, but my thought is that if you want to continue to play, unfortunately, it's going to have to be with another team. Nelson Aguilar.
See ya.
Gone. Corey Clement. I loved Corey Clement. I loved him. I thought he was great. 2017 was awesome. He came back for a second in 2018. 2018, he had a muff and then went back on the IR. 2019, he got a muff and then went back on the IR. I think you got to go. I'm sorry, Corey. I loved you. I think that you're a great running back. I hope that you can turn it around with another team. That's my thoughts. I would rather have that happen. Last and definitely not least, Deshaun Jackson. Now, I tell you, he did very. Thank you, I appreciate that. I tell you, let me finish Deshaun. Deshaun Jackson, he worked really hard to come back. He would be a $12 million cap hit. I feel like with the receivers that we have right now, it ain't going to hurt to keep him. It's definitely worthwhile. I would definitely make sure he comes back. We need the speed. He's still got it. He's definitely going to be that guy. So I would rather have him come back and do that. And if he has a similar situation next season, he's been injury prone throughout his entire career, but he's still one of the fastest guys out on that field all the time. So I would definitely try to, I bring him back at least for one more season. We got him for 2, so next year if we cut him, it's only going to be a $5 million hit instead of a $12 million hit. Anyways, so before I go any further, the beautiful Chelsea Tavern. I haven't shown you guys enough of their food. Their stuff is phenomenal. This is one of the burgers here. They, for our show that they were doing half-price burgers, half-price wings, and I tell you, this stuff is like they have their own special fry recipe, and things like that. These burgers are all homemade, fresh. Like I said, they do it all here. It's not like comes in a patty or anything like that. They got actual chefs here that really know what they're doing. They got a full menu. They've got I want to say somewhere around 40 beers on tap, and then they have over 150 bottles, both the small and the big bottles. I've been drinking my triples. I'm a triple man myself. I like to drink some different triples. I'm drinking the Victory Golden Monkey, but he just brought this burger out, and I wanted to kind of show it off a little bit because they've been so great to me here. The wings are fantastic. The burgers and all of their food is amazing. When you guys get the chance and you happen to come down, you want to go. It's a little bit of a ride, but they got free parking after 6 o'clock all around Wilmington, right on Market Street. There's a couple of different restaurants around here, but definitely the Chelsea Tavern is something that you definitely want to hit. Look at this stuff. This is awesome stuff. Yum, yum, yum. Anyways, sorry. What positions can you draft that we need for draft help now? I tell you, I've said it enough. I think we need safeties. I'm tired of guys. But I also feel like we need to do a little bit better on a receiver. However, I'd rather do that through free agency. I don't want college receivers anymore. I don't think that we know how to choose college receivers. Arcega-Whiteside is prime example. He's another guy who didn't get a sniff yesterday. And even with McCown, like he obviously couldn't get open. He didn't get on the field very much. It's just, DK Metcalf got on the field a lot. And he was chosen after Arcega-Whiteside. And I understand that we were going to get him so that he would become the new Jeffrey, but we had Jeffrey. So I don't understand why we did that. Might have been a waste of a pick. I don't know that I want to trust us going after any wide receivers anymore in the draft. I would stay cornerback. I would stay offensive and defensive line. That's where I went to the draft this year. That was my thing. When we picked Dillon, pick that we could have done. We jumped up to pick Dillon over Houston because Houston wanted him. And I know he didn't get the field much, but that also has to do with the philosophy of the Eagles. They don't like their rookies to get on the field very much in their first year, obviously, on the offensive line. So I can appreciate that. He's got a year of experience. Watch and see how well he actually develops next year. All that tape, all that practice now is all going to start to pay off. He's got a year of experience under him. Next year, he's going to be a beast. Watch it. So, but I think that our biggest concern, cornerbacks and safeties, I think that that's where we're going to spend most of the time. However, as I go to my number 7 here, should we draft a quarterback in this draft? So, McCown, we can bring him back. He's an unrestricted free agent. The other guy, I don't even remember his name. He got hurt. He is an unrestricted free agent. So that means, as of right now, the only one we have right now is Carson Wentz. And that tells me the one thing that Andy Reid was excellent at throughout his entire time here was that he was always good at picking a quarterback in the 3rd and 4th rounds. And he always was able to trade that quarterback later for a 2nd round pick. Now, I understand that Andy Reid was a quarterback's coach, and he might have been a quarterback whisperer. And I think that Doug Peterson has a lot to do with that as well. I think Doug has a little bit of that in him. I like the idea of picking a quarterback in the 3rd rounds. I think that you give them a couple of years, you get them starting to work themselves out. They're going to learn behind Carson Wentz. They're going to learn from Doug Peterson, and then we trade him for a 2nd round pick in a couple of years. It's like putting a pick in the bank, as far as I'm concerned. And that's what I think. That's why you pick a quarterback in the 3rd round. Short of that, everybody else should be definitely cornerbacks, offensive, and defensive linemen. Those are the 3 things that you pick in the draft. No running backs. We're okay with running backs right now, and it looks like running backs are a dime a dozen because I hear them all the time. I'm hearing all the time, not just with the Eagles, that running backs come off of practice squads and all of a sudden start to shine. And that's what they need. They need a little bit of time. You know what I mean? That they need to just get into the game to show what they've got. And if not, you just get the next guy. And then you get the next guy and you get the next guy. You start weeding through them until you find somebody worthwhile. We found that with Boston Scott. Now, all of a sudden, there he is. He was playing for San Antonio. And then now all of a sudden, now he's on the Philadelphia Eagles and doing great stuff. So he'll be back next year, I'm sure. He's going to be the new Mighty Mouse. He's taking over. I mean, when you look at him out there with all those other guys, he doesn't even make it up to their shoulder pads. Anyways, let's go with the grades. Season-long grades and everything. This isn't just for the playoff game. This has to do with all season long. The offensive line, I feel like initially I gave them a B-. Could have been a C+. That. And the reason why I went with a B- is that I still feel that they are one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. I feel like that when you have somebody who's a 3-time first-team All-Pro in Jason Kelsey, and then you had Lane Johnson for obviously most of the season until he got hurt with the high ankle sprain, and then Barrett Brooks, who is the best, is the best offensive guard in the NFL. So you have a whole size of the line. Half the line is like the best. Then you had Jason Peters, and then of course I wasn't a big. Sam Malu had a little bit of a tough year this year. I don't feel like he was the best, but when all was said and done, when you watch them plays and doing them pulls and stuff like that, I feel like the offensive line helped us more than hurt us all season long. Tight ends, I mean, how can you not give them anything but an A? I mean, obviously, Dallas Goedert, not only can he block, but we found that he can catch the ball too. You know, Zach Ertz is Zach Ertz. I mean, he was the rock most of the time, and these guys obviously don't care how hurt they are. They wanted to get out there on the field and play, and that's, they were out there. So how do you give them anything else other than an A? Wide receivers, I give them a D. The only reason why they didn't get an F is because Greg Ward, because of the guys that's kind of stepped up in the end. So the rest of these guys should all get an F. You know what I mean? Including the wide receivers coach, who I feel should be on the the unemployment line here coming up. I feel like that it's time for him to go. We need somebody else. We tried this guy. We had another guy before him. They ain't working out. This guy that guy got to go. I don't even know his name, but he's got to go. And along with most of our wide receivers, got to go. I don't know what was going on in that part of the world, but obviously they weren't doing it until we got into the practice squad people. So, and that's where we started to do a little bit better, and that's why they get a D instead of an F. Running backs, B+. I love Jordan Howard. I was unhappy that he didn't get to play. One Eagle that was dressed that did not get to play one most of the time. And you could tell he was getting frustrated that he wasn't getting out there. But he was the man when we were giving him the ball. When we decided to start running the ball in week 6, when we couldn't throw it anymore 60 times a game, and they started to learn maybe we should run the ball a little bit, and we started winning games that way. They all did well. Sanders, he should be the offensive rookie of the year. I'm sure that it's probably going to go to the guy from Oakland, the running back from Oakland, who had a pretty good season as well. But Sanders, he was breaking records left and right for rookies and scrimmage yards. So I don't understand why he wasn't even in the conversation, not even getting a sniff over there. But I feel like that he should have been in that conversation most of the time. And then, of course, Boston Scott, who came in. Obviously, Jay Ajayi was here, gone. Again, Corey Clement was here for a second, gone. All those other running backs. Boston Scott kind of took over the reins. Again, even before him, the Mighty Mouse before him. I'm glad to see that he understands he's retiring now. It's time for him to start broadcasting. Start to learn how to talk on camera, because I'm sure he seems very charismatic. I would love to see him up over there. I love to see. We see all these Cowboys up there behind the camera. I'd love to see a couple Eagles behind the camera. Quarterback play, I give him a B. I feel like that he grew this year. I feel so in 2018 when he came out, I feel like every pass he tried to throw was to try to win the Super Bowl. And it was hard to have that type of intensity. And that's why he didn't do so well in 2018. And when he finally, and then he had a broken back. And then when Foles came in, Foles kind of just picked up from the momentum of them kind of moving forward, and then was able to kind of take us to the playoffs. This year, I feel like the same type of thing happened. He was trying to do a little too much. It didn't work out that way. Once things started to calm down and the practice squad, I guess, started to come in, he was able to kind of really figure it out and really start to learn and really start to lead this team. And I feel like that what he did early in the season and what he did late in the season, outweighs everything he did early. And that's why he gets a B. I feel like that he's got room for improvement. Got to take that slide class, I guess, and learn that's going to be the way to go. You saw Russell Wilson. I was talking to a couple people that are here at the Chelsea. They were saying, hey, he slid every play. Every play he went running, he slid. Time to teach Carson Wentz how to slide. Put a base out there, have him just start sliding into second base all the time, so he can learn how to figure it out. Because we need to keep him. I feel he's the franchise guy. He definitely needs to be. He definitely needs to be around, and we can't win without him on the field. That's what we learned yesterday. Most importantly, The practice squad on offense, they get an A. Obviously those guys were able to figure it out and make it happen. It was nothing short of amazing that here. In 2017 when we had guys getting hurt, it was next man up, next man up, next man up. But they weren't coming from the practice squad. This year it was everybody's getting hurt, and then everybody's getting hurt, and then everybody's getting hurt, and now we got to go to the practice squad, and they were stepping up. So whether it was Carson that was doing it for them or them, like I said, they were catching the balls. So unlike Aguilar, because he couldn't catch the balls, oh my knee, oh my hands, oh my ass is what it was. Whatever. Anyways, I'm glad that these guys were able to step up and do their thing, and that's why they get an A. Defensive grades. The defensive line, I give a B. I give them a B. They did not get as much pressure on the quarterbacks as I would have liked, and I feel like that has a little bit more to do with scheme. However, they averaged, most teams averaging over 100 yards a game in rushing, and we averaged like 96 yards a game in rushing. We were 4th best in the league, against the run. And other than a couple of weeks where they had a couple of guys that went a little crazy, we've only let up 2 100-yard rushers over the last 2-3 seasons, and that's like a big deal. So they get a B. Obviously, I'd like them to get more to the quarterback. If they got more sacks, they'd have gotten an A. Other than that, they did well, and I still got to do that. Fletcher Cox, I was watching Fletcher Cox get triple teamed, and still get in there and put a quarterback hit. He was getting there half a second short, but he still was able to get to the quarterback, and he was getting triple teamed. That's how beastly he was yesterday. He definitely came to play. It was good to see that too. It was good to see. It was again, you kind of wish you see it all season long, but maybe I wasn't paying that close attention. Maybe he was getting triple teams all season long. Not every day can you get can you pull turn on that switch, and he was able to turn it on yesterday. He was definitely getting in there, and he was beast mode yesterday. The linebackers. I feel like we went through a lot of linebackers, then all of a sudden Gary showed up. And he was okay. And Nigel Bradham came back out and he was okay. And then they got hurt, and then he came back out and he was okay. And that's why they get a C. They were okay. I think Gary got the most tackles on the defense, so he was where the ball was. They did have a couple of big plays. I really wish that there was more schemes where they blitzed more. I know that Schwartz doesn't like the blitz at all. And that's okay. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You gotta stick with what brought you there. And if that's what brought you there, then you're gonna stick with that. That means we need to have more defensive line help. Maybe losing Chris Long was a bigger deal than we thought it was, because that guy could get in there to the quarterback. He was able to get in there. He was able to fire these guys up. You know what I mean? Maybe we were missing a little bit of that this year. The corners. I had to give him a D. Got to give him a D. As much as I love Mills, as much as I, like a couple of these other guys, they were stinky most of the year. They stunk. PU most of the year, and that's not going to win us games. That's why we were, and like I said, those long ball. It started in Detroit, it seemed, and then we watched Minnesota. It's like. I was at all these games and just watching that ball go, you know what I mean? Like that, it was frustrating to watch. And I know that just as frustrated as I was watching these things. We got to give him a D. I can't even try to figure out D plus, no. C, no. D, all the way around. Safeties. So, I gave him a B, and that was really a little stretch on my part, I feel. Like, I feel that Jenkins started to come on strong in the second half of the season, and he kind of got everything. The other side, there was too many times that they were a little bit out of position. As I think about this more, I probably should have given them the C plus rather than a B. I can't do it like a teleprompter and change it to a C plus, because after I'm thinking about it now and after just all the talking that I'm doing, a C plus is probably a better grade for them than the B. because of the same situation that we're talking about. How you can't get beat on these big plays. Can't be out of position. When you're, I'm going to step up a little bit and let the guy get behind you. Can't do that. So, and that's a big deal. Now, the practice squad for the defense, I wish it was as good as the offense. They get to D because obviously they didn't have anybody to go to there. Maybe it was because they had everybody on offense. They had to keep using that for offensive guys. They just didn't have the same type of ability to fix the defensive side of the ball and get the speed out there to fix, against the corners and the safeties and stuff like that. That was going to be more important. So, but you don't really hear about the practice squad on defense anyways. You're not supposed to really hear about it on offense either. Just so happened to come into play this year because we had the practice squad Eagles coming in, going into the playoffs. Coaching grades. Starting with Deuce Staley. He's the running backs coach, assistant head coach. I gave him a B-. I feel like initially he was a little weird with who was going to carry the ball, and then he got on track. And then, I don't know if it was him that was holding back Howard yesterday or whatever. I feel like that some of those, you finally getting a running back who's getting into a groove, and then you're pulling him out. And I'm not a big fan of that. You get somebody, you want to keep using them and use them so that they can get into a groove. And he just doesn't believe in that. And I guess he keeps going back to that three-headed monster. When he was, when I remember him in Miami, when it was him, Carell Buckholzer, and Westbrook, and they were just kept rotating in and out, and how well it worked for that. 2017, kind of same thing happened. But if you remember, in 2017, when Corey Clement started to get hot, it was Corey Clement in there all the time. It wasn't Jay Ajayi. Jay Ajayi was in there. And then you put in the Garrett Blunt, and who was able to just move the pile. That's what Jordan Howard was able to do. But he couldn't get in the game yesterday. A lot of 3rd and 3s that could have been a lot different maybe if Howard was in there. Just my thought. Dave Phipp. He's a special teams coach. So, they didn't run one back.
Nope.
They didn't really give up one. They didn't really do bad. Because I don't know who he is, and we didn't really hear about him much. He gets a B. So, I mean, I wish they would have ran one back once or twice, actually, I mean, there was a couple of good run backs, like 30 yards, 35 yards, but, it's like, it seems like the kickoff is getting out of, is going by the wayside. So I think that they're going to change that right now. They're talking about doing a 4th and 15 for an onside kick if you want to choose that, or starting the ball off automatically on the 25-yard line. Because if you saw in that Buffalo game, and I tell you, I'm only waiting for that to happen, where somebody's going to put their arms out like this on a kickoff. The ball is going to not make it into the end zone, and that guy's going to walk on the field, and then somebody's going to pick that ball up and score a touchdown. Because it's a live ball, supposedly. So get rid of the kickoffs, NFL, if that's what you're going to do. If everybody's going to go like this, I'm just waiting for something like that to happen. And it almost happened in the Houston game against Buffalo, when the guy's like, oh, yeah, all right. He catches the ball. He's like, yeah. And here comes the Buffalo guy. He's like, yep. And the guy goes, touchdown. And then they all talk. Everybody comes out there and says, oh, nope, it was a touchback. We were wrong. The refs are wacky, dude. They're wacky. So, he gets a B. Jim Schwartz, the B-. I wish he would blitz more. I know that the Eagles were the least blitzing team in the entire NFL. And I wish that we could have done a couple more of those zero blitzes. I tell you, that zero blitz worked really well for Seattle when they pulled it out. They got 3 sacks off of the zero blitz yesterday. So we couldn't, I don't really know when. I think we called 1 or 2 blitzes. The one blitz that we called at that right time when it was the over-the-top throw to end the game, really. You know what I mean? That was like the last play short of the kneel downs. So ultimately, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I guess you had to deal with what you dealt with. You have the cornerbacks and the safeties that you have, and that's what you're stuck with, and now you got to kind of scheme around that. I just wish he could have done a better job. I wish that in the second half he did a little bit better on making sure to double Metcalf. Metcalf was the guy. You had to double him. You needed to come out of the gate doubling him. I thought that you needed to make sure that to contain him and contain Russell Wilson. They didn't really do either. You know, Russell Wilson was able to run all over the place, and DJ Metcalf was able to catch the ball all over the place. And that's what did us in. It was the Russell Wilson, DJ Metcalf story, DK Metcalf story, and ultimately 160 yards and a touchdown. We'll do that every time. Mike Groh, how he's getting in the conversation for a head coaching position, I don't know. God bless. I hope you get it. Go to the Giants. That'd be awesome. Go anywhere. Just go away from us. Because I feel that the play scheming, the play calling, I don't know if it was Doug calling the plays or you calling the plays or whatever, but I feel like that between the both of you guys, it wasn't great. You know, and there was a lot of questionable calls. Even yesterday, offensive calls that I felt just could have been done much differently, and just wasn't. And that's where the problem was. It was like, for instance, I've been calling the wheel route all season long. The wheel route's been open. All season long, the wheel route's been open. However, I also noticed yesterday it wasn't open. But you tried 5 times anyways. Maybe this time we'll get them. No, you didn't get them. Not all. No, I think all 5 times you called wound up with just about tackles for a loss, or we got like a 1 or 2 yard gain on it. A couple of them were like on third and 3s. We lose 4 yards. Like that stuff can't happen. And that I feel directly goes on the offensive coordinator. That's where they should be better prepped. There should have been better scripts at the beginning of games and things like that. They got a little better towards the end, but that's why he got a D+ instead of just a D. So we were 9-7, so you got to give him something. He doesn't really deserve the F. Doug Peterson, I give him a B, a solid B. I don't feel like he deserved an A. I know that he had to deal with a lot of adversity and a lot of personnel and a lot of different things that not many coaches had to deal with this year. That's not true. I don't know. I don't pay attention to most of the other teams. I only pay attention to the Eagles. Maybe every team had to deal with those type of stuff. You know, short of like maybe Green Bay and like all those teams that won 13 and 14 games. But other than that, I mean, he had a lot of stuff to deal with. Just dealing with a whole practice squad, preparing a practice squad for a professional game is a tough thing to do. And so I feel like that he definitely earned his paycheck this year. And I know in the middle of the year, people were talking bad about him. Oh, Doug's got to go. He's terrible. Blah, blah, blah. NFC East champs, baby. NFC East champs. And that really is a testament to him. He didn't want to quit. He's still the Wolf of Broad Street. Even though he lost yesterday, he did make a couple of small calls that I felt was, not the best. But ultimately, he definitely gets a solid B from me. Staff grades. The sports science team. I didn't know what else to put it under because they have a whole staff of people that are supposed to make sure, 1, that these guys don't get hurt, and 2, if they get hurt, that they get fixed. And I don't know, since they have brought in this, and it's a woman, so I don't want it to seem like I'm picking on her. But from what I understand, she is the one that runs all of the rehabbing. She is the head rehab guru, and that she's got some special skill where she's able to stop soft tissue damage. And I don't know enough about it. I ain't a doctor, and I can't say anything about it. I do know that since she's been here, that this part has sucked. Our guys have been getting hurt, and it's like I don't see these injuries anywhere else. And I don't see teams for years on end getting injury bug. 2017, we had the problem. 2018, we had the problem. 2019, we have a problem. Time to maybe switch that up a little bit. That whole sports science team, they get an F. I feel like that they cost us 3 games this year. 3 games they cost us. So, F. Fire that whole crew. Time for a change there. Big change. Scouting team, they get a B plus. You know, if you could start picking guys out of Walmart and Kmart, the Wawa, you know, anywhere, you know, it's like, hey, look at this. You guys, somebody who's sweeping our floors here and inflating our balls here. You know, unlike what they do up at New England. You know, anybody can catch the ball. Obviously, we should put them on the team. And you know what? They were able to kind of do that type of stuff this year. I know I'm making jokes about it, but it's not so easy to find guys off of the grocery line to just get in here and start to plug into a system. And that's a big testament to them. Football operations. And this is where Howie falls into. I give him a C+. You know, I feel that, you know, if we think about it a little bit, the cornerback position ultimately was our demise. You know, and I understand not giving up, you know, 6 first-round draft picks, 2 second-round draft picks, and your sister for Jalen Ramsey. You know what I mean? I get it. However, I feel like we should have done something, and maybe they were trying to fleece you, so it was worthwhile not to. I was on your side then. I'm on your side now. So I believe that you actually have the right plan, Howie, and Howie I am going to trust. You can't be executive of the year for 2 years and then all of a sudden be the executive flop of the year. It doesn't happen that way. My thought is the NFL caught up to you a little bit. They said, okay, we're not going to wheel and deal with Howie anymore because it only makes Howie look good. So it's now is going to be more on you to start to really come through in the draft. You're going to have to start to really get guys and figure it out and make sure that those draft picks now start to really come home a lot better than what they have been in the past. Because as of right now, we've only had a couple of good draft picks over the last few years that were able to play. I feel like Dillard was a great number 1 pick. He didn't get on the field very much. Did cost us a couple penalties here and there, but he was definitely worth it. Like I said, in Howie I trust. He's definitely the right GM for the job, and I think that this C+ should be anywhere between a B to an A next year. Trust me. I think that Howie's the guy. My final thoughts. Things that the NFL needs to change. Now, overtime. Overtime is one of these things where, I watched 2 games. You know, I didn't get to see much of the Minnesota game. However, I did watch overtime. You know, that's what I got to see. And the fact that New Orleans couldn't even get on the field, I don't like New Orleans. But that's besides the point. You know, I feel that he should have been on the field. I feel like they should be able to get a chance. That you cannot have an NFL game be decided on a coin flip. You just can't. And that happened twice in the last 2 days. Not really. The Houston game was a little different. But twice in the last 2 years. Because Kansas City had the same problem last year. So I feel like that there needs to be an adjustment to that. You know, are they going to have ties in football? Yeah. Maybe you shouldn't have. Maybe you should only have overtime in games that are going to, in the playoffs. Maybe just automatically at the end of regulation, you tie, or you go to the college way. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the way to go. Maybe do it like hockey and just have field goals kick until they miss. You know what I mean? Who knows? Something better than what's going on right now. You know what I mean? So because it's getting a little ridiculous with the fact that Drew Brees could not get on the field yesterday, and that just says that their defense decided to throw in the towel. That they got that. It was really Cousins threw one good pass and made that to Thielen to get down there. Once they were on the goal line, it was no brainer they were going to score. But something like that's got to change. The referees, and that's kind of go back in with the player safety. I don't know. I'm an arm wrestler, so I'm gonna rephrase this. I'm an arm wrestler. In the World Championships of arm wrestling, not only do they have they have a referee who's there judging the match on the scene, but they have cameras and they have guys in his ear that also ref. So you have like one guy watching this camera, one guy watching this camera, and like all three refs are able to make these calls. I'm telling you, I kind of feel like that they got to start to do something better than what's going on. I don't want the referees to overtake the game. And I feel like that the referees decided too many games in the NFL this year. And between non-calls and good calls, or just non-calls and bad calls, and all that, way too many games. Way too many times did we hear this year that teams were losing because of a referee bad call, and the NFL had to apologize to that team afterwards. It's not the way it should be. And there should be a lot more things in place. You know, I understand that these referees still have to go work part-time, you know, because they can't have a full-time job. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe you should invest a little bit more money into their training. Maybe you should have all those referees in the same spot, watching the same tape, so that they know exactly what's a penalty and what's not a penalty. The fact that they didn't call a penalty on that hit from Clowney, when I watch how many other quarterbacks get hit less than that, and it's a penalty, you know what I mean? And half a second, a quarter of a second. Oh, he just threw the ball and got pushed over. Happened yesterday. He just threw the ball and got pushed over. Next thing you know, it was a 15-yard penalty on us because it was Russell Wilson. But yet, here it is. A guy he tackled him, and another guy is falling on top of him, hitting him in the back of the head, and giving him a concussion. I mean, it was so bad. They brought the wife down to the dressing room. So I mean, it was that type of concussion. That type of stuff is. You want to worry about player safety. You want to have all these people. Troy Vincent, you're that man, right? You're the one paying attention to player safety. The fact that play happened, I hope you're looking at that. I hope that you issue some type of fine to Jadeveon Clowney. I hope, or at least there should be a real big conversation about that. Because the referee, I feel, should be left responsible for that, and I feel that Clowney should get fined and also be held responsible for that. Those are the types of things that are going to ruin the NFL more and more. I know we've gone long today. I want to thank everybody for coming in and doing and paying attention and being a fan of me and the Birds Breakdown. I want to thank all my sponsors throughout the year. Like I said, they are the best in the business. All your heating, air conditioning, and plumbing needs, reach out to Adam Mechanical. Zach and Seth are fantastic over there, and they take care of everybody in the Delaware Valley. The Fans of Philly, I tell you, Joe and his team, they run fantastic trips. They don't run just Eagles trips. They run Flyers, Phillies, Sixers. Anywhere you want to go, Joe is going there, and he runs a fantastic trip. They have great parties. He's got it all planned out. He's just really good at what he does. You've heard of the Green Legion, and you've done all of that. I tell you, you've come to find out that Fans of Philly is less expensive and really hold a fantastic party. Anybody that I've spoken to that goes with them is really enjoys themselves and goes back for more and more. I'm definitely going to be catching up with them and going on a couple of CBD Philly. CBD Philly, CBDphilly.net or CBDphilly.com. They guys also, for all your CBD needs, Philly loves CBD. Oh yeah, all you have to do is do TPSG 15. You get a 15% discount on anything that they offer on their website, or go in to go see their store up in Fox Chase and just say that the Philly Sports Guys sent you, and they'll give you a 15% discount. Trust me, these guys are awesome. CBD Philly, for all your CBD needs. Philly loves CBD. And the Edge of Philly Sports. These guys, they have a show every Wednesday night, and they go online on Sundays after games typically. They're not going to be doing that for a little while, but they have a show every Wednesday night. I slip in there from time to time. I don't call them and tell them I'm coming. I just come in and start yelling and screaming, and they love it, and they support me with everything that I'm doing, and I wanted to make sure to definitely give a shout out to them and support them, because they really are doing fantastic work. Podcasts. I tell you, when you start to listen to them and listen to a couple of these other ones, they don't sound like clowns. They actually know what they're talking about, and they actually are fans. So it's not just, hey, we're going to go give you all of this statistical stuff. They actually are fans, and they talk like fans, but they know their stuff as well. So Edge of Philly Sports, great guys over there. So what's coming up next for me? Since you guys aren't going to see me on Birds Breakdown anymore. I know. I've enjoyed doing this all season. It's been a great season. You know, the Eagles, it's been a roller coaster ride. I know that you've seen me yell and scream and carry on, and that's kind of half the reason why you guys like tuning into me. You know, and I'm going to still be doing that. I ain't stopping. That's just me, just in general. That's how I talk normally. I'm always very excitable. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink any. I drink some energy juices, but they normally got vodka in it. But that's not when I'm in costume. And I go out. I like to be excitable. I like to be energetic. I like it when other people and my fans around me are all get pumped up when they see me get pumped up. So, you're going to see me at the Pro Bowl. So, I'm not done yet. The Green Mohawk is still going to be there. And the Philly Sports Guy is going to be down representing Philadelphia at the Pro Bowl. I'm going to be down there for the events, like on Thursday, Friday, and Sunday for the game. It's going to be awesome. You're going to get to see. I'm going to be interviewing these guys. We're going to be up close and personal. We're going to be able to throw footballs back and forth with the quarterbacks. You know, they're going to be doing their skills competition, and I'm going to be right there. And you're going to get to see all of it. And that's going to be one of these things I want to share with all of my fans and all of Philadelphia when we get down there. It's going to be a great time. It is. And there's a lot of Eagles that are going to be there. So, I mean, obviously, they're not going to be in the Super Bowl, so they may definitely show up there. I'm hoping that, that they all show up. Me and Fletcher Cox, I'd love to have a beer with that guy. You know what I mean? I want to definitely hear what makes him tick a little bit. Things like that. I know that I get excited about these guys and stuff like that, but ultimately, these guys are just men, and I want to be able to go have a drink with them and share a few moments in time. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I'm about a little bit. The NFL Draft over in Las Vegas. I'm also going to make it out to that as well. I want to be up there on the stage when they call those picks. I can't guarantee that I will. I don't know that, but you're definitely going to get reports from me from the draft. You're going to hear what I got to say and everybody that I get to talk to, because it's going to be right on the Strip, and I'm going to be out there front and center as the Philly Sports Guy doing my interviews and talking to all the fans so I can go ahead and do my opposing fans interviews, because like I said, I love doing that type of stuff, and I hope you guys did too all season long as I was busting the balls of the fans. But it's all in fun. Like I said, I'm not a violent guy. I'm really big on fans against violence, fans against bullying. All the guys from the ESF, all the super fans that go there, all kind of fall into the same category. Even the guys in Philadelphia, Sean, the guys from the Dirty 30, and everybody out there, we all feel the same way. We're all about fandom. We're fans of the fans. And that's what I get to love doing those opposing fan interviews, because I get to mess with them a little bit, and they get to share that on their content because they get to laugh at it too. I'm going to have a new flyer show. It's coming soon. I'm working out all the details now. I do bleed orange and black as well. I know our Flyers right now are having a little bit of a tough time on a road trip, but they'll be back, and they'll be back strong. Hey, we're going to be in the playoffs this year. It's going to be an exciting time coming up here between the Sixers and the Flyers, and the Philly Sports Guy is going to be there. We're only 37 days from pitchers and catchers, and they're going to get started up here too. So we're going to be getting live all summer long. We're going to be doing all these different things, going with the fans of Philly to go out on a couple of trips here and there where we're going to all get together and have a party. Oh yeah, it's going to be some fun. I'm going to be at a couple Flyers and Sixers games coming up here real soon. And I have a look. I wanted to show this picture just in case you want to know what I look like, since I'm always in orange, in green and silver. I'm in orange and black too. That's what I do. I put myself out there. I'm a all 4-for-4 guy. And I tell you, once I'm up there, this is me. I had my first Flyers game this year, and they put me right up there on the big screen. Right there. I wasn't there 5 minutes. Next thing you know, they're getting me clapping. Because I tell you, I'm a better clapper than Jason Garrett is all day long. That's right. I got the best hands in the business. Oh, yeah. So, anyways, but definitely, I'll be at a couple Flyers and Sixers games. definitely see me out there. I'll be doing my live reports and stuff like that. And then, of course, I'm still going to be doing all the content I can about our birds. I'm upset that the Eagle season is over, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you guys. So for this the final minute Birds breakdown for the 2019-2020 season, E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Oh yeah, don't worry, we'll be back bigger and stronger next year. I ain't worried about it that we lost the practice squad. Half of them are coming back, and the Birds will be here, and we're going to be defending the NFC East. Oh yeah, baby, go Birds, yeah!